Joining us now, the great Clarence Gatemouth Brown. Thank you so much, sir, for taking the time out of your day and talking to us here. We really, really appreciate it.
Okay, friend.
My first question is, it's almost obvious, I would say. You've been making music for so long. What do you attribute your longevity to?
Positive thinking.
Yeah? Just being positive,
Being
affirmative all the
yourself.
time.
Not trying to be anyone else but yourself. That's it.
Do you remember the point in your life when you first decided that you wanted to be a musician?
Yeah, before I was born. That's the
You
truth.
were born with it. You knew from a
Yeah.
young man that you wanted to do it, from a little boy, I guess.
My mom and dad said I used to, every time he'd be playing, see, because I learned from him, I used to be kicking my mama's stomach, almost kicking my way out. And I suppose I knew about music right then when my daddy was playing.
When you were still
I
in the
was
womb.
ready to start.
When was the first time you picked up an instrument? How old
At
were you?
5 years old,
5
a
years
guitar.
old. Wow. And your father taught you, is that right?
No, he didn't teach me, he told me to pay attention.
So it was
He
up to
played
you.
guitar, fiddle, mandolin, banjo, and accordion. Accordion is the only thing I never
You never
cared to play.
Why? Why is that?
I don't know. It's too awkward for me.
Now, when you weren't when you first started performing, you weren't a blues musician.
No,
at
I was
first, right?
Cajun
You were
country
doing-
bluegrass.
When did you first? When were you first introduced to the blues?
Somehow along the way, I heard all these blues players, and I decided I didn't want to play the kind of blues they were playing, so I decided to try to create a style of blues of my own, and I did.
Yeah, you certainly did. Definitely.
Thank you.
And it's a wonderful style. Who were the people that you heard that kind of and not influenced you, because obviously, I mean, you've carved your own path, but
My father influenced me.
Mhm.
Yes, that's my greatest influence. But what I really started listening to, I listened to the blues, don't get me wrong, but it was so negative. It was too sad for me to play. I didn't want to play them sad blues. I don't know, it made me feel sad, and I decided not to do that. I went to listen to big bands like Duke Ellington. Count Basie was my favorite. I listened to Louis Jordan because he was funny,
right.
and people like that. Lionel Hampton because he had that speed.
Right. So,
I mean, you know.
so you don't necessarily think that it doesn't. You're not drawn to the blues, to the sadness of the blues
No,
at all.
no.
That's the kind of stuff you like to
No,
avoid.
even though when I write blues, I play blues, but when I write, it's for the benefit of everybody instead of asking for help myself. I don't
Right.
need the help. I like to help others.
Right. Right. How did you first meet Don Robey of Peacock Records?
Well, a strange thing, I was working after I got out of service in 1946. I was in a club in San Antonio. It was called Don Abbott's Keyhole, and Don Abbott himself was from here. I believe he used to have a big band back in the 30s, so I heard. I never knew about him. And Don Robey was his friend. And Don Robey came over there, and I was a drummer with a Caucasian band called Hart Hughes, and a vocalist and a drummer. And so Robey heard me. No one knew I played guitar. And Robey gave me a card and said, if you're ever in Houston, come by my club, the Bronze Peacock. He said, you sound real good, son. Said, I might can help you. And a year later, I showed up in a Bronze Peacock. T-Bone Walker was the big shot there at the time, and he fell ill. And when he laid his guitar down, I got up on the bandstand, picked up the guitar, and I don't say I wrote this, I invented it on the bandstand, not knowing what I was going to do. And the only key I knew then was the key of E natural, and I played a boogie woogie. And it was called Gatemouth Boogie, and that one tune sent me flying.
Wow. And you still play that today?
Very seldom. I can, but I don't.
Why not?
I don't know. I just hate to play old tunes of mine unless I redo them, you know.
There's too much new stuff, I'm sure, that you have brewing in your head.
You're not creative if you try to stick with the stuff you did the day you started. That's what's wrong with most musicians. They stay in the past and never in the present.
It's very true. That is very true. And then in the 60s and 70s, you spent a lot of time touring through Europe, correct?
Started in the 70s.
In the 70s? Not in the
71
60s,
was
70s.
my first time over in Europe.
What made you go over there?
Well, the Frenchmen looked for me all over the United States, and they found me in Aztec, New Mexico, and asked me would I come to Europe. I told them yes, and so that's why I started. Paris was my first place to play over there.
Did you find the audiences different over there than they
Yeah,
are
because
here?
they're more settled. They want to hear what you're doing rather than everybody talking over the music. They don't like that at all.
They're a little more respectful to the musician.
They have a
you
lot
think?
of respect in Europe for music.
And you recorded over there as well, correct?
Yes,
You
my
recorded on a
first
couple of
recording.
2 different labels.
Yeah, I was with Black and Blue first, and I went to Barclay.
Barclay, yeah. Were you disillusioned at all with the record labels here in the States?
No, at that time, after I left Peacock, I couldn't get no record label in the States. I mean,
Was that
I
frustrating?
freelanced
Mm-hmm.
for a little while, but it wasn't working out. But once I went over there and I started recording, them people put it out, and it got back here, then it wasn't no trouble for me at all.
And when you came back to the States, you signed to an American label as well, right?
Yes, what I did, I went to Hermitage for a little bit, Horseman Allen out of Nashville, Tennessee. I stayed with him for 1 album until we fell out. And then after that, I was back with Barclay. I mean, I was with Barclay,
Sure,
put
sure.
it that way. And I did several labels with Barclay. Then I left Barclay and I went to Rounder, and from Rounder to Alligator, and from Alligator to Verve. That's who I'm with
Right.
at the present.
That's a lot of labels.
Yeah. I was with I'm sorry, I was with MCA too.
Right, one more.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But I had to find the right people that I was comfortable with and everything.
Are you comfortable now with the label that
Oh
you're
yes,
with? You're happy with
Verve
the
and
way
I are
that-
they're very nice people
Right.
to me. I just re-signed a new contract.
Oh, excellent. Good.
Yeah, so
Does that mean you're going into the studio soon to record
yes,
another
I
album?
am.
When can we expect that?
As soon as I can finish, I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me back up a little bit. In 1982, then you won a Grammy
Mhm.
for All Right Again, right?
That's right.
How did winning that award change your career?
As far as I'm concerned, it didn't.
It didn't, not at all.
No.
Were you happy to win it though? Was it something?
Well, it was all right.
Yeah.
Just an award.
Yeah.
I mean,
Those things aren't important to you.
not really. The music is more important to me than awards in a way. I appreciate getting them, you know, but that don't stop me from being creative.
Right.
And it, I don't know. It's just something like you walking up,
Mm-hmm.
shaking my hand.
No big deal.
No.
It's no big deal. I understand. I read an article from a few years back where you spoke about how you've never been into the Delta blues, that
That's
specific
correct.
kind of blues. Why is that?
Because, like I said, from the beginning of my life, it was too negative.
Oh, okay.
Everything centers on what you can do for me, not what I can do for you.
Right.
And they say, well, what about the Chicago blues? It's one and the same. Delta blues was taken out of Mississippi, took up to Chicago,
Right.
where it got more clout.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And then there was also a time where you were traveling around the world on a tour sponsored by the U.S. State Department.
That's
correct?
right, ambassador for America.
That must have been an amazing
Northeast
time.
Africa, 1976.
How did those travels affect your writing and your
Well,
music?
it didn't affect my writing. It opened my eyes to a lot of things around me. That's why I was able to call my music American and world music, Texas Drive. I never forgot my roots. But around the world, in Africa and Russia, I was over in Russia when Russia was Russia in
Right.
1979. My daughter Renee was 6 weeks old, and the wife and I and my band took her over there with us, and them Russians treated us very nice. Believe me,
That's very good.
we had the best hotel and the best food they could offer.
Are you interested in doing any travels like that again?
Well, Russia, I had an offer last year to go, but I won't go.
No.
I didn't want to go, no.
Why not?
Well, Russia have changed.
Right. So it is a different
It's
place.
just, say it have changed too much for me. But I was in South Africa last year,
Mhm.
That was another thing. I was supposed to go to Ethiopia in '76, but the government wouldn't let me go there. They rerouted me.
Oh wow. Why was that? Oh, just because of the political
Or
situation.
something,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have any regrets at all?
No,
Nothing.
no.
That's good. That's a great. I love to hear that answer. What do you think of the notion that a musician needs to suffer for his art?
Well, they need to, number one, they need to pay their dues
Mm-hmm.
and not go out there and be what they call a 90-day wonder. Make a lot of bucks in 90 days and they throw them out there like they throw cattle in a field of graze.
Right.
That's what's happening to the musician. And they're not concentrating on positive music. They're concentrating on sex, the ladies on sex, the men's on vulgarity, and a lot of noise. Nobody trying to be creative where our children growing up can appreciate it. This cramming stuff down our youngsters' minds that really no good for them.
You're talking about like modern,
Whatever.
popular music.
All this stuff, whatever they call popular, whatever they call what, I don't know. To me, I wonder what it is. You know.
Right. So what's next for you after Jazz Fest now?
Like we said, another album. Then I got to go to Hawaii. I got to go to West Coast. I got to go to the East Coast. And like I say, Hawaii, and I got to go to Europe
Very good.
with my big band.
With the big band.
Yeah, over in Europe.
That's excellent.